Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the heck in the world you are. We have the one and only Dex, the Algocapitalist. And folks, if you haven't been on pulsewavetrading.com, you have no idea what you're missing. Pulse, I'm messing that up again, ain't I?
Nope, postwavetrading.com is
Why do I
correct.
keep getting Pulse Wave and Pulse Scan mixed up? Why does that keep happening to me?
Well, because post scan is the email.
That's what it is, man. Every time I email you before the show, I
Right.
have it set up as it's Pulse Wave Trading. Then I email you, it's Pulse Scan. And then I get back, and instead of saying Pulse Wave, it's Pulse Scan.
Yep, you got it.
Messing myself up, man.
It's all good though. We here.
PulseWaveTrading.com, folks. You want to learn how to trade with the big boys? We got a real big boy here that can show you how it's done without getting your face ripped off too much. The guy who can do it all for you right now, the guy who has his finger to the pulse, and he has the binoculars on where these algos are headed. With that being said, Dex, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Oh man, it's good to be back. I apologize to all the listeners for last time. But hey, when you get up in age like me, things like that happen.
Would you like to share with our listeners how old you are for those that don't know?
Yeah, I just celebrated my 48th birthday
Boom.
this past Sunday. Yeah,
Who
man.
would have thought, man? I mean, you sound like a man who's in his 20s.
No, that's how I feel. That's how I
Yeah.
think. But that's not always how you feel. You know how it go.
Mhm.
I've been busy though in the lab, uh, working on some things, taking a look at what's been going on, and I'm beginning to see just so much circus going on right now, and no one seems to be calling it out. They're just kind of like going with it, and no one's really thinking about what's really going on, man. For instance, all right, it was noted today on the business news channels that the reason why crude oil is going up is because of the sanctions and everything going on with Iran. All
Yeah.
right. Now, you would think at first glance that okay, that kind of makes sense, right? Iran is a big oil producer and people get oil from Iran.
Hmm.
But see, the thing is though, they're not the only oil producer. All right, there's several countries that are in the game. Not to mention, it wasn't long ago, as a matter of fact, it was during Barack Obama's presidency, that it was announced and touted that the US was going to be the number one oil producer.
Hmm.
That's right, the US of A was going to be the new producer, the big boy on the block. Then, under Trump's presidency, that particular paradigm has been pushed forward. There were talks about how much of our inventories we have out in the tank farms, out in the Midwest and in the South. And they were saying just how many, tens of millions of barrels we got on lock. And it's just sitting there, in storage, not really moving. And how they're finding new ways to get oil, even in Texas. Just a bunch of just saber rattling and cheerleading about the U.S. Being a great, continuing to be a great superpower, but not just a great superpower in the sense of that of the word traditionally, but being a superpower on the global economic stage. Well, the truth of the matter is, folks, all of that is wrong, and it's blatant lies. If that were the case, then crude oil prices would be able to be, excuse me, remain suppressed
Correct.
because Iran wouldn't factor into the equation at all, especially if we are talking about becoming a number one oil producer. All right. So if that's being said, and it was also touted that under toward the end of Barack's presidency, remember how we were putting the squeeze on Saudi Arabia and crude oil prices dropped back down to the prices they were back in the 90s.
Yep.
All right, touching $30 a barrel, and they were like, "Yeah, this is killing Saudi Arabia." is going to push them into bankruptcy and blah blah blah. Remember all that?
Oh yeah.
And they were saying, well, the reason why this is happening is because they have to be taught a lesson. And not only that, but hey, we have our own oil. We don't need their oil. They need to be buying oil from us. We have so much oil. Remember that?
Yep.
No one said anything. They were just like, yeah, that's right, that's right. Well, the truth of the matter is, if that was really true, then why are crude oil prices going sky high?
Yep.
Why are prices breaking out to the upside? If that is the case, which means that it's not.
Clearly not the case, man. I mean,
it's clearly.
Yeah, I mean, you talk to most Americans who just read the headlines like, "Oh, we're the largest oil producer in the world now." Wow. But the question is, what the heck are you producing? Well, what we produce is shale, which is lower per quart energy. It's lower energy density than what you get out of the crude oil that's being extracted from the Middle East. That's number one. And number two, the cost of extraction for shale is way higher. So people would say, well, we're going to bankrupt the Saudis by crashing the oil price down to 30. I've talked to somebody who's very connected with the Saudis. Saudi Arabia can sustain $12 to $15 a barrel oil. Not for long, but they can sustain that low. The American shale oil can't sustain 40 because on average they like to be 65, 70 bucks in order for them to be profitable. So yeah, I totally agree with you, man. These numbers are bogus.
Not only that, but we're going into, we're into the fall now and going into winter shortly. And as you know, natural gas prices have been suppressed for a while too. Now, all of a sudden, those prices are shooting up. Now, I know people say, well, it's a seasonal thing. It's going to get cooler and demand for heat is going to be up there. But then the demand's not there yet. So you have to ask the question, if China has already said they're not going to be importing a lot of our natural gas, and they were a big customer of ours, wouldn't that cause the prices to plummet even further? But instead, natural gas is breaking out to the upside too. People need to wake up and realize that they've been lied to for a long time. And if crude oil prices continue to run, it is going to be a big, big damper on our economy. Huge. All right. It's oppressive when gas prices go up like that. So you got natural gas going up the same time as crude oil is going up. Oh, that's really going to hurt. And if we have a very cold winter, look out, because people are going to not be able to afford to heat their home.
Farmer's Almanac has stated this is going to be one of the most brutal blizzard-filled. I was going to say Brazil-filled, but blizzard-filled winters. Of the decade. It's going to be this one.
Well, there you go. You see, I'm just saying it's the perfect storm that's coming. So you have crude oil prices flirting with going back up to $100 a barrel. All right. Then you have natural gas breaking out too, and it's flirting with going to $3.50. And then you have, to top it all off, these tariff and trade wars, which is going to bring up the cost of goods and services. Meanwhile, people's incomes are going in the opposite direction. You have yourself a perfect storm on the horizon. And not to mention, they were talking about how the tariffs are forcing corporations to bring back their manufacturing to the US. I'm here to tell you it's quite the opposite. They're not going to bring manufacturing back to the US. They're just not going to do it. They don't care about the tariffs. And there are multiple reasons for that, not just because the cheaper cost of labor, but understand that their margins have gone like, 400 or 500%, some even 1,000%. So the tariffs are only cutting into their percentage a very minute amount, not enough to make them, come back over here and force their hands. Not at all. So it's not having the effect that they wanted it to have. Tariffs never help anybody. Any type of government intervention never pans out. The good intentions never come to fruition. It has the opposite effect. Government intervention always brings with it disaster, period. There is no case in history where you can show documented evidence that government intervention worked or works or is currently and presently working along with socialism that has worked in the past or is currently working. You can't do it. Socialism has been proven throughout history, and even to this day, it also does not work.
That's
Yet
not true.
we're leaning
Dex,
toward that.
that's not true, Dex. My gender studies professor said that the reason why socialism didn't work is because we really didn't try socialism, even though it was tried 289 times.
Oh, you mean like the FBI investigation on your boy? What did they say? I think it was like done 5 or 6 times, different times, and the
Well, I'm
Democrats
talking about
still want
socialism. What are you
Kavanaugh to be.
talking about? What are you talking about, Kavanaugh? I'm talking about socialism. Like
Oh
they
my
haven't
goodness!
in Venezuela. Venezuela is a very successful country, Dex, because you know why they equally distribute all the wealth. So now everybody's equally miserable.
I like that. Equally miserable. I think that is you can't go any better than that. Perfectly
Yeah,
miserable is
yeah,
exactly what it
that's
is.
what that's the endearing quality. Socialism is so good. People are risking life and limb just to get away from it because it's awesome. You can't stand the awesomeness, Dex.
I have to tell you, man, and then it goes a little bit deeper than that. Now, I did say some years ago that as the economy is crashing here in the US, expect the stock markets to continue to go higher. As long as the stock market's going higher, it makes people doubt what they're seeing and or experiencing. So as long as the Dow is going higher,
Hold on, Dex. Are you saying that the stock market is a weaponized distraction propaganda device?
absolutely. Absolutely. Right now, that's exactly what it is. Think about it. Every bad piece of information that has come out to cause people to pull their money out of the markets has done the opposite. Market is rallying on good news and bad news and no news at all. Every time we have any kind of looks like, oh, the market's going to correct, it's going to have a pullback, it never manifests. They always find a way to talk it back up. And this should be evidence enough for people who never realized it before, all the naysayers, that we are under an interventionist economy right now where the government not only runs and manages and manufactures its own economy, but they're in 100% control of also the markets. They can crash it whenever they want, and they can rally it whenever they want. And all it takes is a few talking heads on TV to parrot whatever the White House wants them to. And then that's what happens. Now, understand that, like I said, there's no end to the rally. The only way this market stops the bull market and turns into a full fledged bear market is if they're successful, talking about the deep state, if they are successful in getting Trump out of office. The day that Trump leaves office is the day the bull market rally dies. So there you have it. Now, the next question I know people are going to want to know, okay, if all that is true, tell me what's going on with the precious metals today. Why do they seem to be running right now? Well, that's a very, very good question. And it deserves a pretty good answer. So starting off with gold, we'll go with gold first. Um, you'll notice that every time the market wanted to run the banks will come in and push it right back down again. There was like no mercy whatsoever. Whenever it tries to do something, they kill it. That's because we're still under a managed economy where they will only allow the markets to move in a certain way if it suits them and their agenda. So that's where you have it right now. That's what's happening right now. So your gold is just bouncing off of a low, just like silver is. That's all they're doing. They're just bouncing off their lows. And then they're going to determine once they get the go ahead, they're just going to crash it back down again. If you look at your weekly chart on your gold, you're still on a well defined downtrend. The downtrend channel is still in effect as well. And you have a long way to go before you try to correct any of this. You're in a bear market. I repeat, you are in a bear market. Not a thing you can do about it. And it's going to stay that way until it suits them. And that day will come when they start allowing more transactions with the gold and silver.
Did you say transgendered?
Oh, they wish. They wish. But even though that's been getting pushed around too, it's like there's no
That's part
end.
of they're trying to dehumanize us, man.
Exactly.
That's all it is dehumanization. Once you dehumanize a society, you ain't gonna have no value if a group of people were executed or killed or whatnot, you know?
Yeah, and it's all blatant. It's right. It's they're doing it right in front of us and daring anyone to say otherwise. That's all it is. They're daring anyone to say otherwise. Go ahead. We dare you to speak out against any of this, and then you get ostracized, and you get, you know, marginalized as well. And right now, I have to tell you, just based on the information that we have right now, there's a very strong possibility between what's today? Tuesday. Today's Tuesday, right? All right, between today and Friday, because we lead maybe sometimes 3 to 5 days out. We have a crash alert watch for silver, especially for silver. It's unfortunate because they just will not get their foot off the neck of this silver. But that's what we are, folks. They're setting it up for another crash down. The only thing you can do right now, you can use this as an example or opportunity to continue to stack. If you want to continue to hedge your portfolio, you have no choice but to go into the paper markets at this point. You might be able to ride this until Take Back Friday this week. But other than that, there's no guarantee that what you're seeing today in the market is going to continue into tomorrow. Not with the crash alerts that we have looming. No, ma'am, no, sir. And like I said, you're still in a well-defined bear market on multiple
Derek,
time frames.
could you expound for the layman and for the listening public, sir, the crash alerts? Can you expand on that?
Yep, rally and crash alerts. All right, so rally and crash alerts work like this. It lets you know based on the supply and demand in the market, looks at market depth, things like that. And it lets you know where big shorts, big sellers are looking to enter the market and taking up short positions, whether it's in the dark pools or if it's something going on in the options markets. It just lets you know where there's quite accumulation of short positions. That's where the crash alerts come in at. All right. The system picks that up. Likewise for rally alerts, lets you know when bulls are coming in and buying up shares or taking bullish positions, whether it be dark pool, whether it be in the options market, whether it be on the futures, trying to hedge positions in equities. It looks at all those different things. It does not take into account the commitment of traders reports because commitment trader reports are lagging indicators. All right. By the time that report is issued, most of those positions, like 90% of those positions, have been unwinded. and new ones have been put on. So if you just use, it used to be back in the day that was more reliable because transactions moved a lot more slowly. Funds didn't do as many trades and uh, counter positions like they do now. There was no high frequency trading like it is now. So they held for longer time frames. So commitment of trader reports, that was the thing to have, but this ain't 20 and 30 years ago, my friend. This is all algorithms now running and controlling these markets, and you have to know what they do and how they do it in order to compete with them. So that's what the rally and crash alerts, that is their purpose. That's what they do. They do have a tendency to lead the market 3 to 5 bars out. So on a weekly chart, that's 3 to 5 weeks out. On a daily chart, that's 3 to 5 days out. And right now we're looking at day 2. This is day 2 on the crash alert for silver. It should be noted that gold does not have a crash alert at this time. So you're looking at silver to probably be pounded first by the banks. And then you'll see central banks come in and do the same to the gold. And that's pretty much been the play lately. Another thing I want to point out to everybody as evidence from what we've been talking about, take a look at the bond futures, the long bond, the ticker Z as in zebra, B as in boy.
I'm loving that 10-year, by the way. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's the same price it was yesterday, 3 days ago, 5 days ago, 7 days ago.
That's
That
totally normal.
140. That's
Hello.
140.
That's totally normal.
This is, look, before the Fed announcement, during the Fed announcement, and after the Fed announcement, we're still at the same price. The bonds have not moved.
Exactly.
And it also should be noted, here's another thing for you. All right, you have your Russell. The Russell 2000 is pulling away from the Dow and the S&P and the NASDAQ 100 and going in the opposite direction. The Russell is down 14 points right now, trading at the 1664 level, while the Dow is up almost 200 points. It was getting close to that. It's at 150 now. At 26,800, flirting with 27,000. And for a brief time today, the NASDAQ 100 broke 7,700. 7,700. It should be noted back during the dot-com bubble burst, the NASDAQ 100 reached 5,000 and then broke all the way down below 2,500. And now here it is sitting at 7,700. So to put that in proper perspective, the dot-com bubble, the largest bubble in U.S. history, the market now is almost twice as bubbled up as the dot-com days. This is the highest price the equity markets have ever been. Ever. Higher than 1929, 1987, and 2000 and 2007. This is the highest level that the equity markets have ever been. And it should be noted that the roaring 20s was similar to the go-go 90s, 1990s. The 1990s and the roaring 20s, identical cousins. All right. And the market, or I say the economy back then, was on fire. The economy was on fire. People had good jobs and they was getting paid. This was happening despite recessionaries in the 1990s. To my remembrance, there are people older than me, I'm sure, listening. You can correct me if I'm wrong. There were 2 recessions back during the decade of the 90s. 2 recessions. And here we are. The markets was on fire. All right, hitting all-time highs. Well, this time is different because we're at the highest price the markets have ever seen. And our economy is basically in a depression. something to think about. The Dow is jumping and the jobs are slim to none. What is available is your minimum wage glass ceiling jobs. And even those are starting to go away because of automation. They have algorithms and robots now to do those jobs. And I didn't know this already, but Amazon has already made its move into the DMV. That's right. They're moving. They're already here. They already set up shop.
Wait a minute. What do you mean they're going into the DMV?
You know, the stores without people.
That's called a DMV.
DMV is the District of Columbia, Washington D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, the
Oh,
tri-state
right,
area.
got it. You gotta explain that, bro. You know, DMV, I'm thinking, wow, Amazon's gonna be the Department of Motor Vehicles. You know, I hate Amazon as a monopoly on things, but damn, I wouldn't mind getting my license to a lot faster because I hate the DMV lines.
Think
That's what I
about it.
was thinking in my head.
You know the hiring that Amazon has been. People drive instead of driving for Uber, they drive for Amazon now.
Oh yeah, delivering packages, dude. I got check this out. I ordered a product from Amazon. I ordered it on Friday. Guess when I got it delivered?
As soon as you hung the phone up.
Sunday. They
Wow.
deliver on weekends, bro.
Yep.
Like on Sunday. I know
Yep.
Saturday delivery, but Sundays they're doing Sundays
Yes.
now, man.
7 days a week.
7 days a week, bro.
They've been doing that, as a matter of fact.
That's just
I've
crazy.
got many a package on Sundays and Saturdays. And the
Wow.
post office is doing it too.
Yeah.
The post office, I see people delivering mail and picking up mail on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny that now we're working for the .com companies.
Yep.
All right. So people are working, Google's employing people and Amazon's employing people. And it's now that's the new thing now. You're gonna be working for a .com company. You're gonna be working for a website. Everyone's working
Love
for
it.
a website.
That's it.
And that's what we are. And they want to bring more to that. They're already predicting that automation now is going to cost another, what was it? They say 20 or 30,000 jobs a month. And by the year 2030, the only jobs that will exist will be either you work on the androids, you're one of the engineers that maintain the mainframes and stuff, or you're just out of a job. That's why they've been talking up and trying to push the this minimum wage thing, where basically they pay everybody $300 a month to stay home and do nothing because there are no jobs for you. Like that's going to do something. America, man, America's in trouble. Also, word on the street. Need to explain to you how that works. It's very complicated. It's weird. It's esoteric. All I can tell you is that a lot of what is happening or is going to happen is already expressed in the markets. All right. I'll leave it at that. The algos tell you what's happening, what people, if there's fear, what people are afraid of, if there's, jubilation, why people are so happy and excited. And I can tell you right now, if you take a look at your military industrial complex, I have a tab on the daily price triggers called the Illuminati tab. Take a look at some of those companies. Take a look at your Raytheons and take a look at your companies like that, and you're going to see that they have been, some of them have been doubling and tripling in price. That should scare people. When you see the ticker hack breaking $40, and then you see these industrial, military industrial complex companies going up, Halliburton and all of them, that should make people very afraid and very worried, because word on the street is they are itching to start World War III. and they're itching to do another 9/11 style event here in the US. And they want to do something with the internet as well. So you guys, if God forbid something like that happens, you know that I told you first, I warned you first. It's not like you can do a lot about it. You can't do a thing about it. But unfortunately, that's what we are. That's why it's going to be very important that Trump remains in office. As long as Trump stays in office, the deep state can't get their man in there to bring all these things about. All right. If Trump is successfully booted out, understand the person that they replace him with will bring us into World War III. And unfortunately, it's not going to be a war fought abroad. It's going to be a war fought on American soil. This is their nuclear option, pun intended, to finally bring down the country so they can resurrect it in the manner that they see fit, that they want their new world order. And it's funny because they've been boldly bragging about it to the point where they're putting it in your sitcoms and TV shows now. Look at American Horror Story. American Horror Story this season has most people baffled. They don't understand what they're looking at. It looks weird. They're trying to figure it out. They don't understand it. It's strange to them. They don't know. Most people don't get it. They don't get it at all. So, allow me to break it down for you. For those listeners here today that watch American Horror Story, here is what you've been missing. Okay. So, one thing about the American Horror Story series franchise is that they use the same actors and actresses to play all the parts for every season. And they do a wonderful job. Angela Bassett, Kathy Bates, those they act their behinds off. They do a wonderful job in that show. Now, for most people, it's a little dark. They don't understand. It's meant to be dark. It's meant to be outright flabbergasting to most people. And the reason is because they're trying to tell you something. They're trying to tell you about the world that you've been living in, the world that most people never see or never even knows exists. As far as they're concerned, it's the invisible world. But in this particular season, they're giving you a glimpse into the mind of the deep state, into the mind of the secret societies and the Illuminatis and people that are even uh, higher than that, put it that way. See, we've been led to believe that the secret societies and the Illuminati and all of that is this whole New World Order thing that wants to bring their thing to pass. And that is actually a lie. People have been lied to. All right. Yes, those organizations do exist. Yes, they do have control in certain aspects of the culture, society, economics, you name it. Absolutely. But you keep forgetting there's someone that's over them. At the end of the day, who is that individual? All right. An American Horror Story this season. The guy with the long blonde hair, the mysterious guy who just showed up all of a sudden, who apparently has more rank and pull than Kathy Bates's character and the other lady. I don't know her name offhand. The slim chick. Okay, here's how it works. Kathy Bates's character was part of the deep state. She basically was a black ops type of character. All right, she was an assassin, if you will. That was her job. She killed for the deep state, and something happened to her, and now she's a cyborg. All right, so she's a cyborg now. And the guy who showed up with the long blonde hair, people are like, "Who is this guy? What's going on?" All right. I'm going to tell you, he represents the Antichrist, the man of sin, the man of perdition, who they all work for and they don't even know it. All right. They don't even know that that's their master. That's the one that they've been praying to and doing their rites to. All right. He's the Antichrist. If you noticed in one of the last scenes, um, when he revealed himself to, I call her the librarian, the chick on there that looks like a librarian. She dresses plain, she looks like a librarian. All right. Well, what happened was he revealed himself to her. And if you notice, she also revealed to her own self without even knowing it that she had some type of superpower or something, if you will. Okay, let me break her character down for you. The librarian represents the latent power of of the feminist movement and all of its moving parts. Okay, and so does the skinny lady that accompanies Kathy Bates, who I can't. Um, I don't. Her name eludes me at the moment. Okay, so she's also considered, like a high witch. That's what they all are. That's why they wear black and stuff. So they're showing you that the the end game for these secret societies is they are henchmen for Lucifer. All right, and that is their dad. If you remember, the guy with the long blonde hair was actually praying and speaking to Lucifer. All right, and he called him father because the Antichrist is the son of the morning, the bright morning star, the false angel of light, Lucifer. Okay, so that's what you're dealing with. Now, as far as the individuals, it was funny because this part, I think they took from a lot of different books and famous authors that came on YouTube and stuff. And it was funny. Here are these elite people who were given a ticket to safety when the nukes start going off on the show. All right. And all types of drudgery is happening. And then the last episode that they showed, they killed all of the elitists. They murdered all of them. All right. The high witches, the people of the inner circle of the satanic order killed all of the elite, all of the illuminists, killed them all. And the reason being is because what? They are, quote unquote, the useful idiots. They represent your all those in entertainment, the high ups in entertainment. Your athletes, your musicians, your actors and actresses, anyone who's in the public eye and they work for the state. High ranking officials, military, you name it. That's who the group represents. Okay, and what did they do? They killed them all, and that's what they do at the end. After they don't have use for the useful idiot anymore, they get rid of them. They don't need them. They think that they're entitled to be there. They're special. No, they're not. And the funny part about it is too that they let them know that, hey, you guys are just as wicked as us. That's why we chose you, but we don't need you, and you're not staying here. So the whole thing is just hilarious because they're showing you and telling you everything. They're confirming everything that you've been told is absolutely true, and then they're giving you the rest of the story that you wasn't told about. And the other issue that's coming up is, if you remember, and this part I thought was really hilarious. There's a mysterious figure who wore this like black latex suit or something, covering themselves up so you can't tell who's wearing the suit. Well, if you remember, in one scene, the person wearing the suit was hanging from the ceiling. All right. They were hanging from the ceiling. As you know, no human being can do that. All right. No human being can deny laws of physics, laws of mass and volume like that. So that means they would have to be some type of paranormal or supernatural entity. Also, it doesn't speak. All right. And that's what that is. So you're seeing manifestations of those things, those characters on the show. And this is not the first season that they dealt with high witchery and battery. Um, American Horror Story Coven dealt with that, and which they were showing you the higher levels of witchery and what they were able to do and things like that, and how they were, levitating and astral projecting and things of that nature. Side note, some of you have probably heard of people who, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, they claim they can see into the future. I can't think of the title
Remote
right now.
viewing.
Remote viewing. There you go. Thank you. Remote viewing.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Remote viewing is just another fancy way of talking about astral projection. All right. The way that works, the remote viewers, they're not traveling through time and space. They're not traveling to the future, and they're not traveling to the past. When you, if I can put it plainly for those that are listening, let me try to do that. When you put your mind into an altered state of consciousness, traditionally that's done with strong drink, liquor, and drugs, things of that nature, hallucinogens. There are other ways to do to reach that, but if you put yourself in that type of a state, what happens is you've now opened up your spirit to communicate with the demonic realm. And when you do that, the demonic realm puts these thoughts and images into your mind. So you're actually seeing what they are showing you. And that's where they're getting their information from. All right. It's not a latent power of the human soul. Unfortunately, there is no latent power in the physical man. All right, as some in the New Age movement would tell you, that is not true at all. Any supernatural paranormal activity that the human being is able to garner is either through the dark arts and demonic realm, or it's done through the godly realm. All right. Those are only two methods or ways to tap into the supernatural order. All right, lightness and dark. There's only two. There's no such thing as dark magic and white magic. It's all magic. Any magic that seeks to communicate with anyone other than the Godhead is demonic, and that's where they get their information from, and that's where they get their so-called powers from. It is also well documented. If you go back and listen to some of the interviews and things, some of the artists, they will confess to you that they didn't write the song. They entered into an altered state of consciousness and allowed the demonic entity to write the song for them. All right. There are individuals also who have confessed and said that they didn't know certain things, but their quote unquote spirit guide told them, and that's how they were able to get that information. So it's not that the individual can walk through walls. It's not that the individual can travel through time and space. It's that they're communicating with entities, the fallen ones who are giving them that information. So when you see the magicians that are operating on a higher level, that are actually causing things to materialize and dematerialize. And I'm not talking about sleight of hand. I'm talking about real, actual magic, making things appear, disappear, things like that, changing shape, volume, size, whatever. That is done through demonic forces and entities. That is not the human being doing that. All right. So either a person is of God, and if they are, they will tell you that, and you would see signs of that, or they're demonic. And you'll know that because they will deny Christ. That's one of the high tenets of black magic, is to deny Christ and to deny the Godhead. to deny the Most High Yah. That's what they do. All right, and they will tell you that. And if you ever encounter any type of supernatural entity or force like that, or something appears to you as an angel of light, you'll know if it's from the Most High or not, because if they don't tell you about Jesus, if they don't lead you to the Most High and lead you to God, then they're not of God. They can say everything, quote scriptures, but they will not say Jesus. They will not say that name. They will not utter that name, because that is the only name uh, above all names that demonic forces must bow down to. Anything other than that, you won't be able to control, manipulate, or reason with a demonic force. Part of our, I can say, static being of the soul of man is that anything of a higher power than him overwhelms the spiritual man without Christ. So let's say a gray alien appeared to you while you were in your room. You saw a UFO and lights and everything, and you saw the grays at the foot of your bed, whatever. The only thing you're able to do is to cry out to Jesus, and then they will disappear and vanish and leave you alone. Um, that's the way the order is set up. So that is what they're showing you in the American Horror Story series. They were showing you, that's why it's called Apocalypse, because they're dealing with the end time revelations that are written about in the Bible in the book of Revelation. So they're dealing with uh, apocalyptic theories and facts that are mentioned in the manuscripts of the New Testament. And that's what that's about. So if you're confused about certain one of those things, if you go and you read the book of Revelation, you will see what John wrote there, and you'll see how it coincides with what's happening on the American Horror Story. And I find it fascinating that they um, take time to do that and to deal with not only that, but also tie in conspiracy theories and conspiracy facts, and then they marry that to the Bible and show you what's happening and what is to come in these last days. So it's pretty neat, man.
Absolutely. Dex, thank you for sharing that with us, man. It was a pleasure to have you on. And how can people follow you, your social media, and where can they sign up for Pulse Wave Trading? Go for it.
All right, pulsewavetrading.com is where you can sign up to join the trading room and to get the weekly crash alerts and rally alerts delivered to you, and join the trading room, and also get one-on-one coaching with yours truly, and we'll get you set. And on YouTube, as you know, it's the Algocapitalist on YouTube, and you can follow me on Twitter at the Vulcan Report.
Absolutely. And with that being said, folks, we are over and out. CJ's not here to take it away, so I have to do it myself.
Peace,
Take care,
folks.
guys.